Here we go. First match of the finals. This could be our last match of the day. Storm Riders under the red banner. Clan under the blue. We're getting this one underway. If the Storm Riders take this game, then they win SCS 62, and we're done here today. If Clan wins this, though, they're going to take it to a game number 2, and that game will decide. Oh, we got to pause. So we have time to go over the builds. First up for the Storm Riders, we have the Fancy Amobula being piloted by Dimentio. Hades up top with Carronade Artemis on the lower decks, and another Carronade Artemis on the upper. They're also bringing the killing feature, a squid being piloted by Finks. Carronade on the front with Banshee on the starboard side and Mine Launcher on the back. Over on the other side, for the Clan, they're bringing double Junker. Their first Junker is the Irish Disco Biscuit, being piloted by Steamy Noodle. Port side, Artemis Hades with a Banshee on the front. Starboard side, Mine Launcher Carronade, so more disable brawling side, and a little bit more aggressive kill for their port side trifecta. They're also bringing the Abyss, a Junker being piloted by Nietzsche's Mustache. Now this is weird. Port side, Flamethrower, Mine Launcher with a front Artemis. Starboard side, Hades Banshee. Not actually that weird, actually, compared to the other Junker. They're pretty much the same, just changing up the strategy a little bit. As you have the close range side of Flamethrower, Mine Launcher, and again, long range side of essentially Meta Junker, but replacing one of the Artemis with a Banshee just on the Abyss. The Banshee is on the starboard side. On the Irish Disco Biscuit, the Banshee is on the front. Uh-oh. Okay, we're still under pause. Teams are not quite ready yet. Just waiting on getting everyone back in. Troubles with connection. So what about counter builds? Like, how is this going to work? I feel like the Hades is generally not a great choice against Junkers. The Hades is really hard to hit. I mean, your best bet is to go for the balloon, try to take that out while the Artemises go for the body. Now, I will say, where the Hades is not particularly good against Junkers, the Artemis is excellent. Because especially if you have burst ammo, but Exterminator is running burst ammo. Specifically for that Artemis. So that's going to be able to pop multiple components on a Junker at once. All right, here we go. Both teams looking to set up. Now the Ryders are immediately going for this wide open easternmost area. And it looks like the Clan want to take the center of the map. Center of the map is a really brutal place to fight, especially if you lose your balloon, because look at all this nonsense you drop down into when you do. That is awful. It's horrible to fight in. Now the Fancy has managed to spot its targets. It is going to eat the first wave of fire, but the Junkers are taking a little while to get their guns into arc. In fact, the Irish Disco Biscuit recognizes the killing features coming around the side, and I think it's setting up for it. Now they're just taking cover, but the killing feature is going to be right here. Carronade going to go into the balloon immediately, and they lose it. They are going to drop down hard. If they drop down and get wedged in there, that is going to be awful, but no, they're just going to get rammed up into this rock spire in the arc of the Fancy, but the Fancy is more concerned with the Abyss, keeping that locked down. Killing feature, very happy to just focus down the Irish Disco Biscuit. The Abyss wants to try to force the killing feature off, but they have chem sprays. They're going to be fine. Very little damage going into this squid. Banshee Arcs losing them. Carronade, however, going to be able to keep going on the balloon, and the killing feature is going to follow the Irish Disco Biscuit down very hard. In fact, they're completely going for the balloon. They're just putting the Banshee into the hull, trying to get that armor burning away, and they're going to get it. Irish Disco Biscuit has Drogue Shoot, so they're going to be able to slow their descent, but that's really just going to delay the inevitable. This Junker cannot do anything against this squid. Ooh, Mine. Going to give them maybe a second chance at life. Killing feature drops down hard, but they haven't lost anything important. They lost their armor, but whatever. Comes back up immediately, and they get the sandwich into the wall. In the meantime, up top, Fancy and Abyss just kind of chipping away at each other, but they cannot do a whole lot. The Fancy getting Hades, looking for the Artemis as well. They got the main engine They also got the mine launcher, the Fancy, so the Fancy doesn't have as much to worry about, but the Abyss is getting shots and disables. Fancy hits a mine, but the Abyss is taking some big damage, and here comes the killing feature. They're going to have the Banshee ready, and they are, again, going to go straight for the balloon. They just want to break that armor and break that hull, and they're going to get it. Quick kill. 2-0 in favor of Storm Riders, and they are looking to shut this one out. They have no permahull damage. Now the Irish Disco Biscuit spawns in, but this could be a meat grind of old. Fancy putting out some Hades, landing some good shots. The balloon isn't looking great. They also lost their main engine. They are just coasting. No, they lost a turning engine. They're just coasting right now. The Fancy, too close for arming time of the Irish Disco Biscuit, but it's going to put fire stacks on that armor and make it easier to bring it down. And it is very close to going down. Killing feature going to nuzzle its nose right into this junker. Who's going to get credit? It's going to be the Fancy with the carronades. And the Abyss, oh no! Meat grind central. Abyss spawns in, and the Fancy and killing feature are going to turn around immediately. Here come the shots. Tiberius getting up on that Hades, and there he goes, but it's a little bit late. Still, though, the Artemis is going to be able to bring down that flamethrower before it does anything effective. Engines going down as well. Balloon down. Armor down. Blech. They are going to drop fast. Flamethrower, however, going out on the Fancy. Chem spray is not quite perfect. The balloon is burning, and they're putting out some good damage from a distance, actually. The Irish Disco Biscuit spawning back in. The Abyss throws out a mine, but it's going to whiff entirely. And now the Fancy losing armor. Irish Disco Biscuit might actually be able to pick up a kill on this Mobula. They weren't able to get the kill on the Abyss fast enough. And finally, Clan able to pick up a kill for themselves. But now the killing feature is still on the Abyss. The armor is so close to dropping, but they get the whack on it. It's burning. They have no engines, but the armor's up, and the killing feature can't do anything about it, not with the Irish Disco Biscuit bearing down on them. And the killing feature is going to have to repair their engines and get on out of here. 3-1 after that initial engagement. But the Storm Riders are going to enter it with 2 ships at full permahull. And the Clan have taken quite a bit of damage on the Abyss. Now, the Junkers' permahull is not very high. So any little bit of damage brings them so much closer to death. You can think about it a couple ways. You know, taking a little bit of permahull isn't a big deal since you don't have a lot of hull anyway. So, like, they didn't kill you in their barrage. But at the same time, all they need is a single armor break, and they can bring you down a lot easier. It's significantly easier when you're damaged. So we'll have to see. I don't think it's necessarily going to make a huge deal. Still, though, it might be enough for them to target the Abyss over the Irish Disco Biscuit. Those are some good Banshee shots, though, I gotta say. What are they running? Looks like they're running... Who's up top? Anakin got greased. Wow, so he probably was just using regular shots for that one. Now, these 2 Junkers have reconnected. That's the most important thing of running a double Junker comp. You gotta have your Junkers connected. Now, the Fancy taking shots. The Abyss was getting hit as well, but the Irish Disco Biscuit is coming in to cut them off. But the killing feature has closed distance so fast. The Abyss losing their balloon almost. One more carronade shot will do it. There we go. The balloon drops. Any sort of repairs they wanted to do are now null. Their armor is also very low. Do they even have it buffed? No, they don't. Abyss doesn't have buffed armor, and the killing feature is going to follow them down. They have 2 engines out, and the Fancy has managed to wrest its way away from the Irish Disco Biscuit. They get hit by a mine, but their guns are still going to be an arc, and the Artemis does so much damage to that low permahull value of the Junker. Now the Irish Disco Biscuit turning their guns into arc on the Fancy. Banshee burning it away, 2 engines on fire, so turning is going to be extremely slow, but the killing feature is here to give the Fancy the time that they need. Nuzzle into the balloon, going to bring it down. They have drogue shoot, they can slow their descent, but that's just going to make it easier for the Fancy to land shots. I think this may be it. Storm Riders have done a great job this whole tournament, and they're looking to close this one out. Abyss spawns in close, and the Irish Disco Biscuit is holding on very nicely. Its armor still hasn't dropped, but there it goes, finally gone. The Banshee is there. but the balloon comes back up. They were trying to fire into the balloon. Great defense from them. Armor comes back up. They're going to survive just barely as the Abyss puts Flamethrower out on the Fancy. They didn't have chem sprays. Everything's burning, but the Irish Disco Biscuit is going to drop anyways. Storm Riders are your Sunday Community Skirmish champions. Congratulations to them. 5-1. Very convincing games all the way to the end.